welcome, Eric. Thank you. Thank you for being our judge tonight. And I guess we'll turn it over to Martin and we'll start with the beginners.
How many pictures do we have in total?
There are 84 pictures total. There are 23 beginners and 61 advanced.
Okay. Now, how do you do the scoring? So I understand it's 6 to 9, but do you do two passes? Do I get a just pre-run to see what's in each group?
I think we've done one pass for scoring, but if you want to run through them first and then go back and score them.
Yeah, very quickly, because I don't know the levels of the beginners versus advanced, so it will just give me an idea of what I'm dealing with.
Okay.
Can be very fast, just
Okay.
okay. Are we ready to start? I'm just trying one more thing. Can you see my marking?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll get started. This is, I assume, the beginners group.
Yes.
Okay.
And Martin, can you read the titles when they come up?
Oh, okay.
Here.
Bandolier ladder.
Okay, so I like the perspective here. I like the way you have the ladder leading into the person. Would have been nice if the person was a few steps lower, so not at the end, but kind of at the 2/3 or even 3/4 of the way up. But that's where you got it. I like that things are clean, so there's not a lot of distraction. Probably I would have removed the section here, either in post-processing, removing it, or just cropping it out. But I think you did a pretty good job there. I like that you had soft light, so everything is there's not a lot of depth, but the perspective makes up for that. So nicely done. Give it a 7.
Bridge and foliage and infrared.
Okay, I like the infrared, the brightness. It's with a filter that really gives you bright colors. I use the 720, which gives more, just a little bit of color. So these are for some people like it, some people hate it. So I do like the effect of the filter. I wish there were not so many power lines. I think I find them distracting. In many pictures now, I do accept, I do like power lines, especially in street photography. They kind of, that's our streets. And I understand that this is what's there. I find them a little bit distracting, but I still like the composition. I like the way the colors came out with the blue sky and the water, a little bit red in the water, but we'll get that in reflections anyway, even with a standard camera. 7.
Crisscross.
I like the way you created your art here. So you used obviously architecture that was there, but I really like your framing. I like the execution in monochrome. The tones are very good. You go all the way from whites to dark, dense blacks, but you have detail where you need to see it. The composition works nicely. So you have at the top right, you have the one line coming down from the corner, and on the left, you have that brighter line. They're kind of leading you into the frame from the top down, but it still works. I'll give this one a 9.
Floating flowers.
Nice, and I know some people like flowers on a black background or almost black. I do like that you didn't make it completely black, so it's not 2 flowers floating in a black hole. But
All right. I don't know what happened there.
okay, so I do like that we see some of the background. Could have been even a little more, but then that's subjective. One thing, again, in the beginner group, may not be easy to do, but there are some, the flowers are not perfect. And I don't mind flowers that are past peak and where you want to show the age and show beauty after peak. Here, there are a few dark spots that could be pretty easy to correct in post-processing, but still, I like the composition with the 2 8.
Fresnel lens.
Okay, nice, again, nice, almost abstract because it's all about shapes. It's all about the curves and the tones and the textures in the picture. I like the tones. In terms of the composition, I wish you didn't have that bright box. Sorry about the barking. There's nothing I can do about it. She's deaf, so I can't even yell at her to shut up. So I wish you didn't have that box in the bottom left, the bright box, because it's very bright compared to the rest of the picture. I wish the light bulb was a little bit brighter. And again, something that is relatively easy to do in post-processing. I still like what you've done here. I'll give it an 8.
Give Balaka a hand.
Okay. So I like the idea and I like where you put the focus on. Could probably, things are not necessarily 100% sharp. So I don't know if you used it with a cell phone with whatever setting was there or with a camera with a really small aperture. I would guess a small sensor for this depth of field. And based on the height, it's probably handheld. The one thing I wonder why you decided to cut out the tips of the fingers. I wish it was all there, or either you cut more and then it looks more intentional than just missing the tips. The other, when you have text, and we have text in some of the signs, you want it to be clear or gone. Seeing a little bit text kind of makes the viewer try to figure out what's there. 7.
Gloom.
Okay, I see the title and I understand that the subject is the clouds, is the drama in the sky, and I think as of this morning I shot 960 some sky pictures because I use the sky in my other pictures. And this morning we had some beautiful sky, so I do enjoy looking at skies. When you go into that bright area and you have dark clouds, it becomes a little bit challenging because of the wide dynamic range. And I think what happened here, about a third of the picture, the top part is completely black, and then you have some bright areas that you lost the texture. Again, in post-processing, normally I make up for it by cloning at low opacity and darken mode and just put some texture into the bright areas. I think here it was just very tough. What would have been nice, and I see there are some sun rays that go from the left to the right, and I wish those were a little bit more visible. Maybe even focus the picture on the left half of the frame where you have these rays. 6.
I give you the world.
Okay, so in terms of technical handling of this picture and the composition, you've done a nice job. So technically, there's nothing I would suggest to fix. In terms of the subject, you saw something that caught your interest. It's I'm trying to see when I judge photo competitions, I want to see what you as an artist added to the picture, rather than just, hey, I saw this one, it's cute, here, look at it. And I don't know if you've done a whole lot to make it your own. So you handled it really well. There's nothing I can suggest to doing better. You handled the light, the reflections, there is only bright glare on top of the big head, no big deal. So all that is done well, but in terms of making it your own, 7.
Just hanging around.
Okay, so I like the fact that you really, the bird is an anchor point. It's not a picture about the bird. You have interesting sky. You have nice textures in the water. I think what's the problem here, it's either very low resolution camera or you did very aggressive cropping and it really fell apart. So, and it doesn't look like there was an intentional painterly effect applied here because it's in the sky, but you don't see much of it in the water. So I think from a technical point of view, there's some issues with this picture. Having the main subject in the center or a little bit to the left with the bird looking to the left, it's probably not ideal, not a big deal for me. But also in the processing, you see there is kind of a halo around the top part of the those paws and the bird. So there was something done in post-processing that affected the picture. 6.
Looking out.
Okay, so you found a relatively interesting landscape, at least not something that we see here in New Jersey. You had soft light, so there is no direct sun that made it maybe easier to expose. So you got good exposure everywhere in the dark areas and all the way to the sky. At the same time, the picture is a little bit flat because there is not much variation in tones. Everything is almost around the mid-tones. There are no real dark areas, no real bright areas. And I think, again, in post-processing, that's more for for more advanced users, you can create some lighting effect by lightening a little bit the trees, because the trees are kind of where this window is leading you to. Also, the formations at the bottom are pointing to the trees. So you want the trees to be a little bit brighter and not everything leading you to something that is really hard to see. But I think the composition is nice. You saw something interesting, 7.
Memorial.
Okay, nice time of year with the trees in fall foliage. And again, here you have a relatively flat light, so everything is exposed properly, but without some strong something strong that leads you into the picture. I do like the composition. The problem is that the sky is very bright, and this is something relatively easy to fix in post-processing. Again, depending on where you are with post-processing, it's pretty easy to select the sky and darken it, and then the eye will really remain with the memorial, the interesting part. 7.
Murano Island.
Okay, I wonder when this was taken, because recently it was very dry there. Those canals were in bad shape, and this looks pretty nice. Okay, I like the perspective. It's a touristy shot, so you know we all stand in the same spot and take the same type of pictures. Yeah, it's a crowded, nice day in the city there. I'm not sure that everything is as sharp as needs to be, so I don't know if it's not. I don't see the focus on anything specific, so I don't know that the focus was off or it just doesn't look like shaking the camera, but 7.
Our view from our Venice lunch.
Okay, so this one, I find it a little bit more interesting, and not that I want to compare pictures one to another, but I think what added interest here is first a nice play of foreground and background. The clouds really add some impact to the picture because there are stormy clouds, they create mood. But also because of the darker sky, we see the details everywhere else, including in the shadows. 8.
Oyster shacks.
Okay, that's kind of a unique view, unique subject, and again, not that probably it's a place that fewer camera club people go to. It's more unique. To us, it's more unique. But I think you've done a nice job with the angle, with the exposure. I like the reflection. I like that the reflection, the water is not smooth, so the reflection is not an exact copy, a mirror copy of the shacks and the mountains. And putting the 3 together there, I think worked nicely. 8.
Ruler.
Okay, you got a nice expression. I like the angle. I like the lion has the face at 45 degrees to the camera, so we see a little bit of the profile, but we see both eyes. We see the mouth open. You are a little higher. I assume that's where you could be in order to get this picture. Based on the environment, it looks to me like a zoo picture, but I don't care. I do what, and again, not that you had much control, but those weeds in front of the line are a bit distracting. mainly because they're out of focus, but I think the whole picture has some quality issues, because if you look around the mane and you look around the face, it looks like there was some either post-processing or really low resolution, but you can see kind of a sharp edge between the lion and the background. So I don't know exactly if there was some post-processing done here, but it looks like it was not a clear selection of the subject. And yeah, the quality problem is actually very noticeable. 6.
Seagulls at the beach.
Okay, so I like the settings. I like the way that the seagulls, the way they're arranged, are leading you in, and then you have the water. You had a few things that were hard to deal with. One is the light. Based on the shadows, we can see it was when the light was very bright and direct. So what happens, the dark areas are very almost black. We don't see much details on the feathers. We don't see much details at, around here. It's all black. The water is very high contrast, so the waves are washed out white. And one thing when you do shoot where you have a straight horizon, you really want to make the horizon straight, not tilted. 6.
Sedona in infrared black and white.
Okay, so here we have a picture again, high contrast, and with infrared, sometimes high contrast really simulates the way it was done. And again, we're dealing with real infrared, not fake infrared. But with film, you would get this high contrast, and especially when you process it in black and white. I like the busy scene. I like the trees that are really giving you that bright, the foliage turns bright. I do like, now something a little picky, where you crop the edges, so you have half a person on the left, you have the tent on the right is kind of on the edge, so I would either crop a little bit more in, or I wish there was a little bit more out. Of course, I wasn't there. I don't know if it was possible. But it tells a story, and it works nicely in monochrome. 8.
Spoon tunes.
Okay, that's a nice idea. The technical handling is excellent. So it's not completely washed out white. You have this bright gray background, pretty consistent. So our attention goes 100% into the main subjects, and the focus is really when you want us to look. So the execution is very good on this one, and I find it interesting. I like the way it worked out. 9.
Street music in Amsterdam.
Okay. So I do a lot of street photography. It's one of my favorite subjects, and storytelling street pictures are, to me, are interesting, are something that you get, nobody else can get it. It's a moment in time, and it's over. So with that said, technical handling is pretty good. Focus looks okay. Is it perfectly sharp? I'm not sure, but it's getting close enough. I think the focus went on the right here, because that seems to be the sharpest part of the picture, but that's okay. What I wish you waited a little bit for us, this man in the background, to move, because my eyes keep going to that person in the back. And this is something that, I mean, today with the Photoshop tools, at least yesterday, I haven't tried the one that was released yesterday, the new Photoshop. I haven't installed it yet, but it would be easy enough to remove. And then usually I like to clean up some spots. Again, it's a little picky, but things like this one, bright spot in the background draws my attention. And as I said, the man in the background probably shouldn't be there. But still, nicely done, 8.
Sunset.
Okay, so you got nice colors, nice sunset colors. It creates mood. I like the way you're brought into the scene. You have the boat there, but I don't know if you really figured out where is your picture, what you're trying to show. I mean, I see the title is Sunset, but if we look at the colors in the sky, that's about a quarter of the frame and in the top. But then we have the boat, we have the poles, but then we have this very bright object right here in the bottom left corner that really holds our attention down below there. And I think that that's, again, when you're in a situation like that, look at the scene and see where's my subject. And Rick Simon once said, there's nothing neutral in the frame. So things are, an object either adds to the composition or distracts from the story, from the composition. And I think that's important. When you go and take a picture, you look around the frame and see, okay, is this bright light in the distance helping me or not? Maybe stepping a little bit to the side, it will have been blocked by one of the poles. Maybe then you will have a stronger light. I don't know, I wasn't there. Certain things, again, in post-processing can be handled, but having that very bright object at the bottom left is really distracting. 6.
The morning mist.
Okay. Well, some of you know I like bad weather. I go in rain, in mist, in pretty much any bad weather. High winds could be a problem, but you really captured the mood. I think your choice of monochrome was a good one. It works for me. In terms of the technical handling, it's very good. It's the tonal range is nice. The handling is good. Again, being a little picky, you know, you have probably a bird here. It's kind of a spot in that white space that draws attention, but it's not large enough to figure out what it is and to really enjoy it, benefit from it. So I think these are the type of things that I would try to eliminate. Again, for this group, I still think this is a wonderful job, and I'll give it a 9.
Woman on a wall.
Okay, so here you manage the exposure, the technical aspects. You manage pretty well, and I like the lighting. I like that her face is not all flat in terms of lighting. Even though it's not a harsh light, you have some tonal range, you have depth, you have, so that really gives it character and really makes the expression more noticeable. It's interesting what she was doing with her hands. But one question I have is why go so wide? So I'm not sure why you needed to go above here, because you have some interesting texture above it, but it's taking away from your subject. I don't know if it was necessary. And the same, I would say, and you may not agree with me, and that's okay. The tree on the right-hand side I mean, if your subject is this, the woman, did you really need to include that in the frame? I do like what's under her. So I do like those, you know, that area I think is important. The textures on the wall are very nice. And even the bricks in the background, they're interesting yet not taking over. So these are kind of things that I would, you know, think about when I work on this picture. I like it very much. I'll give it an 8.
Yellow Rose, Stratford-on-Avon, UK.
Okay. So when I work with flowers, first I'll start. Soft light for flowers is usually the best way to work with the flower because you get beautiful tones and just enough variation to show shadows. Remember, shadows add character, they're important, and I think you have nice variation of tones. So it's not all flat and there are no harsh areas. I mentioned earlier that when I work with a flower like that, you know, there's a little black spot here. Take it out. That's easy with just about any tool. So that's what that. Now, it's always, you want to, how much depth of field? What f-stop do I need to use? I love to work with very shallow depth of field. Maybe show just a few edges sharp and everything else soft. Maybe just the center here sharp and everything else soft. Here it's kind of in between. So things fall out of focus, like the petals in the back, but not enough to make it an intentional play with depth of field. And then there is so much of the background that is a little bright. Again, personally, I would select the background and reduce the texture, reduce by moving the clarity or structure, depending on which tool you use, moving it down, or by selecting or clarity, again, depending on which one slider you choose. With Photoshop or Lightroom or Camera Raw, it's the texture and possibly the clarity a little bit. But also reduce the saturation because that bright color in the back, I find it distracting. And probably even crop it, maybe make it a square frame. 7.
That's it.
Okay, so what do we do now? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, if you could pick a first, second, and third, please.
Yeah. So we're going to look at the 9s, right? I
So,
think I gave 3 or more 9s, so
yeah, so I need to know which of the 9s.
All right, I have that crisscross, Boon Tunes, and the Morning Mist are 9s.
you know what? I'll score them in the order that they're presented. So the first one will be number 1. The second one with the music notes, number 2, and this is number 3.
Do we want to announce who these are now? Or wait till the end and announce the beginners and the advanced at the same time?
Nobody knows.
Say it now.
All right,
Might
well,
as well do it now.
Do it now.
Okay.
Who-
Yeah,
who
well,
wa-
it's fresh in everybody's mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are you gonna wait for?
All right, so then let me get my thing up. First place is Crisscross, Jerry Morelli, Stonebridge. Second place is Spoon Tunes, Janet Breslin, River Point. And third place is The Morning Mist, Ray Crouch, River Point. And now we'll go on to the advanced.
We're starting the advance now.
Okay, we're gonna go through it?
Sure, please.
Okay.
Did we lose the audio?
I'm still seeing the old picture.
Yeah. I don't hear anything either.
No.
Martin, you still there? Did we
I'm
lose you?
here. I'm
Okay.
here.
Are you showing the advanced group yet?
Yeah,
Oh,
We're-
we're not
we
seeing
I'm
it.
seeing beginner.
you're not seeing it?
No,
No,
we're not
yeah,
seeing
the-
it.
That's
That
it,
was
okay,
share, I think.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, sometimes you release the share and you take it again.
Yeah, well, what happened is when I loaded the advanced, it opened a different instance of the software and that wasn't being shared.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that now.
Now is
Yeah. Okay, this is a bit too fast.
No, I'm going back to the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's a little fun. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
A different kind of beach.
Okay, so, I like the play of tones and, I guess it was, a good decision to make it in, monochrome. It doesn't have the full range, but I think you capture nice details. I don't know what happened in post-processing, that there is a white edge along the edges. If you look all around those rock formations, there is a white edge, and I don't know, it's,
Hold on 1 second. How do
was
you
there,
know?
please mute.
Ellen, I gotta call you back.
Uh,
It's on the Zoom. and-
Okay, if you're not reading the scores, or please mute your line.
Okay, okay, okay.
Whoever is the host, can you mute everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So there is that white edge around the mountains, and I don't know if it's something that you did by increasing the contrast in post-processing, replacing the sky or what, but that's something to watch for. I also don't know that you needed so much of the foreground. We have a lot of sand, and in fact, there's so much texture in the sand in the front that at first I was looking there and I didn't even realize that there is a person walking there, which I thought would be important. So I would probably crop it pretty high, because I don't know that you need the sand above this line, 7. Okay, I think that this is, you captured an interesting moment, but you also made it your own by getting some of the motion of the water drops, but the girl was not fast enough to blur her. So I think that worked nicely. And overall, the handling is nice. I'll put it in the 9s. 9.
I'm not hearing the title.
Yeah, probably whoever reads the titles, you have to unmute.
Eric, you said this was a 9.
Yes, I did.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Are we skipping 2 pictures?
My computer has a mind of its own. Is this what we were up to, antiquity?
No, there was another one before that. This one.
Oh, Allaire Rail Yard, New Jersey.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
So another infrared picture. I do like the composition here. I like the way the trees are. the tones are pretty nice. You had some difficult time with the bright areas, and I know in infrared it's very easy to have some areas washed out. Here it's very minimal, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's really some very tiny spots. So overall, the exposure is done nicely. You still have nice details in the foreground. I would probably, again, that's a little bit more advanced, but you're in the advanced group. I would increase the contrast, the mid-tone contrast at the bottom, because it's a bit gray and it can be handled a little better. One thing, and I know some people don't care, for me, it's a little bit a problem, is having the contrail in the sky. Very easy with the tools today to clean it up. 8.
Antiquity.
Okay, so this kind of handling is very subjective, and I know I like to play with some, and some people hate it. I know if I post it on Facebook or show it to even my wife, will get different opinions. I think what you did, you handled well. And I think that I'm probably not sure why you have that. It looks like vignette, not just texture on top. But again, this is your creative approach, and I appreciate it. 8.
Elmar umbrellas.
Okay, I like the umbrellas. I like the color of the umbrellas against everything else is pretty muted. I don't know what exactly happened, if it's because of Zoom. I don't know how it looks on the host on the main screen, but the sky is falling apart. It's pixelated, really looks low quality. And I don't know, everything else looks okay in terms of quality of the image. In terms of the scene itself, I like the umbrellas, but the chairs bother me a lot. Again, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that the sky is not so bad in the original, because
It's very grainy in the original.
it's very what?
It's grainy.
Okay,
Not
because it
really
looks-
pixelated, just very grainy.
Okay, I'll give it a 7. I like the idea, and could be with the reduction in size.
Blacktop road to the sea.
Okay, interesting location, interesting scene. I think the cloudy sky helped you. I mean, even if you change the sky to these clouds, it doesn't matter. Obviously, it was no bright light on the scene because all sides are lit equally. I think it's an interesting picture, a lot of stuff to look at on both sides of the frame. And at the bottom, maybe I would have left a little bit more room behind the car, or just wait for it to move forward if they were moving. So the car at the bottom doesn't touch the bottom edge. I still like the scene a lot. 9.
Woodwork at night.
Okay, I like the mood in the picture. You capture it at a good time. The technical handling, considering the wide range of exposure, brightness is, you handled it well. There are no really, except for right next to the lights, which there's nothing you could do about it. There are no washed out areas. You probably had to work, I see by looking at the face of the woman walking, you probably had to do some post-processing to get it to be exposed like that, but I think you've done a nice job here. I'm trying again, looking at the exposure on her face, and it looks a little bit like it's all orange and very hard to tell features. And that bothers me a little bit because when you have a person that close and being as the main subject or the anchor point in the picture, you would like to see a little bit more of the expression. 8.
Bridge.
Okay, here having the cloudy sky probably didn't help you that much because, and that's when you were there, so nothing you could have done about it, simply because you created, now we have a picture that is all gray. And at least the background, the clouds have some shapes and textures. They're not completely, it's not just flat gray. So that helps a little bit. In terms of the subject, you handled it nicely. It's something that I've seen many times. So it's one of those that, yeah, we're there. We have to take this picture. 7.
Bucket drummer boy.
Okay, it tells a story. It's funny because when you look at it and the way it was captured, there's very little sense of depth in the picture. So at first it looked like the drumstick is lying on the road, but I know you threw it in the air. 8.
Circuit board roadmap.
Okay, you know, it's funny because one thing I like to do with the drone is flight over industrial buildings that they have the air condition, the docks, the pipes, a lot of, and it looks almost like a board, but they have 3D. There are shadows. Here you've done a good job in capturing it. I'm trying to see in terms of, you know, showing some artistic approach to it. I'm not sure that I'm getting it. You've done a nice job, I must say. 7.
Classic MG.
Okay, again, something that is a pretty common subject in camera club, the photographers to do these close-ups of the classic cars. You've done a nice job. You went for symmetry. Sometimes we try to do off-center to do something a little different. You went for symmetry, and you've done a nice job. I'm trying to figure out why. I'm looking at your cropping, so it's a non-standard cropping, and I think you really wanted to keep about equal distance from every side. Okay, 8.
Coastal flooding.
Okay, so you took, yeah, isn't it sad that we take some bad news and make it fine art? I like your composition. I wish the eye in the ice was all there. Again, when you have text, the viewer eyes go to the text. The handling of the picture is pretty good. You left enough of the top to let us, see that we're looking at a reflection. 8.
Court jester, clown on a box.
Okay, nice handling of the, the technical aspects. You have good exposure on the subject. The background is not distracting. The colors are nice. Focus is good. In terms of the subject, it's okay. 7.
Dancing in Greece.
Okay, it's kind of telling a story of some people happening on the street there, probably had a nice day on their visit. In terms of lighting, you had to deal with really harsh lighting. As you can see by the shadows, it's midday light, so the light came from above. The shadows are very short, and what it created some harsh highlights and shadows. So the man's face is almost black. The woman has some bright spots. The picture has really high contrast, and because it's so busy, and because you have, again, if sometimes on street photography, wide aperture allows you to separate the background by blurring it. Here, everything is sharp and very, very busy. So it tells a story, but I think I don't find it as strong by holding one thing for us to look at and really enjoy. 7.
Dragon boat.
Okay, it's a unique subject. In terms of what's nice is the background is you don't have a lot of people in the back. You don't have any people in the background. You made it a panel shot because the boat is so wide. But I wish there was more in the picture. Of course, you didn't. Probably you didn't have the option to control it, to have them more at an angle or something. So it's not just a narrow strip of interest that takes about, probably a quarter of the frame, maybe even less than that. And again, the light was harsh and created a lot of highlights and shadows. So you do have something interesting. It tells a story, but in terms of fine art, in terms of creative competition picture, I don't know if it's very strong. 7. Technically, you did a good job.
Elegant.
Okay, I like the way it's lit. I understand that it's lying on the flower is lying, so that's why it almost looks like you want to turn it, rotate it right. But no, it's lying on right or on a surface that reflects it. And the lighting is from the left, so the technical handling is very nice. And here I think the black background does work. There are a few harsh areas of light on the leaves actually, with the a little bit glare, which is pretty easy to fix in post-processing. 8.
Escalator up.
Okay, so this is something a little different, and this is something that you had to decide how to crop, how much to include, how much around the person. And I think you created image with really strong impact. Again, is she perfectly sharp? No. Does it matter to me? Not so much, because I think you really created something that is yours and that is very different. And so it's really nicely seen and handled. 9.
All evening at High Point.
Yeah, I was there a few days ago, and some areas are past peak, some areas are green. It was all over the place. We don't get these consistent bright colors. You say in Vermont and New Hampshire, they're all sugar maple, and they all turn at the same time. That's why you have these really large areas with nice color. Anyway, let's look at your picture. So you handled it nicely. I like that it's in the blue hour, so it's not all dark. You see the light on the tower. I don't know if you really needed that base, at the bottom left, and then some pieces sticking out in the middle. If it was my picture, I would have worked a little bit more on it to brighten the trees just a little bit more. I know you wanted to keep the contrast, and again, it's your picture, but I think you've done a nice job. 8.
Field of Flowers.
Okay, you had soft light, so you capture nice colors in the flowers, good details. Again, you have a mix of some fresh flowers and some past peak. The one thing that I'm trying to figure out is your composition, why you chose to include so much in the frame, especially including the dry, the area at the bottom right that I find very distracting. But I don't know why you didn't concentrate on one bunch, maybe even, these are kind of nice and just enough to tell the story. But I think you just have too much here. 7.
Fierce.
Okay, so you did some post-processing to really create a more dramatic look, emphasize all the details. So you made it a little bit harsh in post-processing, and I think maybe you took it a little bit too far. I like the expression, I like the posing, I like the tattoos are interesting. I don't know, maybe the post-processing took it a little bit too far. 8.
Fireworks at the castle.
Okay, I'm not sure what's exactly happening. The bottom part and even most of the fireworks look interesting. I'm not sure what's happening at the top left with these burst of colors. I think I find it distracting. That's easy enough to cover up with some black, really not take us out of the frame with the bright areas here. You probably don't even need this part. 7.
Flower.
Okay, nice exposure on the flower. You played with selective desaturation, so you kept the flower in the colors, and the background in black and white. You've done a nice job with the processing. The technical handling of the flower is nice. In terms of interest, it's okay. I don't know why you lost some details. That's kind of strange. You suddenly lost sharpness here, but I guess because it's the furthest away. 7.
Flying information.
Okay, nicely done. I've seen many pictures recently from air shows. Facebook is full of them now. And a lot of them are sort of the same. And I think here your timing was really good. It's leading from the top left and really getting almost to the edge of the screen and then coming at you. The area that needs to be sharp is perfectly sharp. The technical handling is really good, and I think the picture has impact. 9.
Gallery.
Okay, here you had to again deal with some harsh lighting, and I think because the pictures themselves have spotlights, and they're very bright. I wish you had the exposure a little bit lower so we could see a little bit more of the pictures. I do like that it's in black and white, and I do like that you have the one person looking at them and kind of dressed in an interesting outfit for this for the picture. 8.
Geometry at night.
Okay, nice handling, and you made it interesting. So with the exposure control, having enough information around the lit part made it fit well into the background. I like that you went for symmetry, and I think it also works here. 9.
Arbor at dusk.
Okay, nice having the 3 boats in the foreground and just a little bit of a base, not going too much. I like the textures in the water. I don't know why you included so much of the sky, and I understand maybe when you looked at it and this whole area in the middle didn't look white to you. So you just, of course, saw the nice colors in the clouds. But I think what happened here is the sky got overexposed and you lost the interest in the sky, yet the sky takes a pretty large part of the frame. Now, do you really need all the way the top of the hill there? Maybe could have cropped it lower, or maybe decide where's your picture. Maybe cut it even right, exclude the sky altogether, and really keep us, because with the sky so bright, you don't even see the boats in the background. And I think just the play between the 3 boats here and the boats in the background could have made an interesting picture. But the sky takes you so far out. 7.
Heron in profile.
Okay, nice light on the heron. It's a bit of a static pose, but really with the lighting and the background, I find the background actually helping you here. I know some will say that the background is distracting, but I think it puts it in a more natural environment when you have more than just, empty sky or empty water. And I think what really makes it work is the lighting on the bird, and of course, the technical quality of the image. 9.
Hot air balloon.
Okay, yeah, I go almost every year in Reddington here. They're very close to my house, but they're not doing it anymore. This was the last year. It's interesting perspective because of the direction of where you took the picture, and the center of the balloon is here. So it's not the usual way we see it. And I think it makes it a little different and more interesting. So I think it's so hard to create something new with these balloons because we all run to these shows and we take pretty much the same pictures. And I think here you have something a little different. 9.
Ice cream time.
Okay, nicely done. Nice shallow depth of field. So, but the parts that need to be sharp, you did get sharp. In terms of, again, a competition picture, maybe not as not the best image, but still very nicely done. I love to do portraits. I do a lot of kids. I did a family shoot on Sunday. 8.
Independent.
Okay, so nicely seen, and again, when I look at a picture like that, I don't know if it was really the way it was or you did it in post-processing. I love to work with the masking tools in Camera Raw, which are the same in Lightroom, and really create lighting effects by making something really leading the viewer's eye. I'm not saying that that's how you did it, but I don't really care how you did it. You created a very interesting and successful image, in my opinion. 9.
Jaipur Bazaar.
Okay, nice street picture, and not exactly a street, but it is like the alley here. I don't know if you, I love the colors. Don't know if you needed so much of the foreground because a lot of space is just those, the floor here, and whatever is hanging off the table. The problem I have with this picture is really sharpness. To me, it looks more like slow shutter speed, and maybe it was pretty dark in there because it really appears that things that were moving faster are not sharp. Things that are stationary are sharper, or even the people in the background look a little bit sharper, but it's not a focus thing because everything is a little bit blurry. So I think it was slow shutter speed and you moving. But I like the story. 7.
Kayaker in Bay.
Okay, so this is another one where you have you had some tough exposure to deal with really bright clouds and dark areas. I think you handled it pretty well. You probably took the saturation a little bit too far because if we look here in the sky, it doesn't look natural. You probably wanted to create drama. And this here is also a little bit on the saturated edge. But you created an interesting picture. The composition is nice. I understand why you included so much, because you really wanted to capture that structure in the cloud and not crop it too tightly. 8.
Leisurely walking into the whatever wetlands.
Yeah. I like the use of the leading lines. I wish the two ladies were a little bit closer to you again. You don't want something to be right at the end of the path or what appears almost at the end of the path. I see they're not at the end of the path, but in terms of your framing, they are. I think you had to deal with very difficult lighting. Maybe it wasn't bright light, but you still see a lot of highlights and shadows. And I think in terms of the processing, you got everything to be gray. If you look at the picture, there's a lot of gray, and I think that hurts a little bit. 7.
Long-tailed skipper feeding on flower nectar.
Okay, nice details. In terms of lighting, you had to deal with a relatively dark creature on very bright flower, which I find distracting because you have so much interesting, there are so many interesting colors and textures in this area, but it's so dark compared to the flower. And I don't know if you could have done maybe at a different angle or a little bit, or maybe closer, so we don't have so much of the flower. 7.
Looking up.
This is great. I'm a dog guy, but I love cats too. And it's about the picture, not about which animals you like. I really like it. I really like it in black and white. One suggestion, I'm not going to take out points for that, but you know, just that little thing here, you don't need it. And if you just, I mean, with content-aware fill or generative fill, you could have removed it very easily, but you could have just cropped it just under it. It's so mean. I mean, if you cropped it just under, would have been fine. 9. I love the picture. I can look at it forever.
Lounge chairs and table.
Okay, so here again, you took something pretty mundane, right? Chairs, table, some pillows, and that fence or railing, but you really used the light to make it your picture. You worked with the light to be at the right angle, to be at the right, to handle the technical aspects so well that you really created high impact with a picture of a subject that by itself, if you came here in the middle of the day and it was all lit evenly, would you wouldn't take the picture, right? So here you really created something. 9.
Low pitch.
Okay, so you got a nice moment for an action photograph. I think what, yeah, obviously there was movement and I could expect some lack of sharpness. It's not a focus thing because if you look at the ground, it's very sharp, so it's a little bit of the motion. The ball, you know, I had to look for it to find where it is right here at the bottom. I think what works against you a little bit is what's brighter than the main subject. The people behind are lit better and are taking more attention than, and it's not something you had any control over, and it would have been a lot of work to fix it in post-processing, but I think not having the expression on the face here is really the biggest problem. 7.
Magic of light.
Okay, so you had very interesting light. Again, I think this one was pushed way too far in terms of the saturation. So the sky is almost purple here. And then what happens, look at what happens around around the leaves, you have these halos all over. So it's really in post-processing, it got pushed. Look at how you have white edges or bright edges around everything. And I think by pushing the saturation and the contrast so far, and maybe this was your intention to create a painterly look, like it was done in, I don't know, some bright paint. 7.
Monkey.
Perfect for black and white. I mean, you really took something and you really made it not about the animal, but about, and yes, it's about animal, but you really emphasize textures and lines and details, and we see the expression. You handle the lighting really well. Obviously, this is not, well, to me, it doesn't look like it's in the wild, but this is not important at all right now. 9.
Museum lover.
Okay. So it's interesting. You chose to take the person looking at the write-up, not at the pictures, which in a way it's nice because now we can see the pictures. Here without spotlights on the pictures, the exposure is controlled nicely. 8.
Knight Rider, New Jersey.
Okay, interesting idea. It's hard when you do something like that and the sun is so bright, or you say night could be the moon, because the moon at night would be as bright as Earth during the daytime. So actually the same exposure rules when you do the moon as you would do if you're outside in the field and you don't have a meter. And you have everything as a silhouette. I don't know if the pose is that interesting. 7.
Nouveau Staircase Abstract.
Okay, interesting handling. Again, I like that you created something. It's not about the architecture, it's about textures, about lines, about shapes, about tones that you created yourself. 8.
Pelican.
Okay, so we have here again, we have a bird and a profile, a little bit with its back to us, not so much, although the face is turned at 90 degrees, so it's not, I mean, excellent details on all that. The lighting is not that interesting here. You did get beautiful details everywhere in the bird. The horizon is crooked, so I think that really hurts. And having the base here, I don't know if it's adding so much. 7.
Rocks.
Okay. It's interesting, and I see them periodically, these kind of rocks, and I've taken some pictures. I think the exposure is nice, and the composition is not bad. Lighting was tough, you handled it okay, but nothing is sharp, and I think that's a big problem. For the idea, I'll get a 7.
Surrounded.
Okay, so this is a subject that is photographed so much, and you try to do something a little different when you go there. And I think you did a nice job here. I know I was struggling there to figure out how to do something that is mine, it's unique. So I started taking just pieces and the reflections. I waited for people to walk and reflect here and got some of those. Are these the most creative things that I've done? No, but I had to do something. I think here you did something nice. 8.
Swirl.
Interesting, interesting setup, interesting composition, and excellent handling. 9.
Taking a ride.
Okay. You know, I like the idea. I like that you have that curve here to kind of create make the picture more dynamic. I think there are a couple of things. Now, why did you really need to include the building in the back? I think I find it distracting unless you maybe showed a little bit more. But I think the bigger problem is your focus is right here. This is sharp, but when you look, you can even make out the details on the kid. So it's not as sharp. I think you really needed that part to be the sharpest in the picture. Now I'm looking at the stones near it. They look okay, so it's hard for me to tell what it is, but it's definitely some issue with the focus. 7.
The Hudson River.
Oh, I wonder where. Must be really high up. Anyway, interesting landscape, interesting clouds. This is, again, I find some issues with the focus. So, and I know with infrared, sometimes it doesn't look as sharp, and I don't know. I'm trying to find where it would be sharp, and I hope it's not with zoom that it's losing some with the reduction, but it seems like maybe the focus went to the clouds if you kept your focus point here. 7.
The Potter.
Nice tight framing, interesting person with the tattoos, and seems like the tattoos are matching the shirt. 9.
The Pride of Baltimore.
Okay, nice light on the tall ship. And again, you didn't have much control where you could stand, and the top part looks so nice because it's against the sky and everything stands out. Where I look, where it should be a little bit more interesting, you know, the area here. And the problem is it blends so much with the background that you can't make out anything. And it's not a problem with sharpness. It's just so busy and relatively high contrast, not inappropriate contrast. It's not that you did anything to make it to take it overboard, but I think that's where it really suffers. 7.
The Swimmer. 3.
Okay. I like the mood in the picture. I wish there was a little bit more room at the bottom. So we had something leading us to the surf, not in cutting it right at the edge of the water, but again, it doesn't look that sharp. If the swimmer is your subject, this is not where your focus is. I think your focus is here. And I don't know what time it was that you needed to use. I don't know, it looks maybe shallow depth of field because he's definitely not moving that fast to be blurry. Probably the water is moving faster, so I'm not sure what it is. 7.
The Umbrella Brigade.
Okay, interesting, interesting scene, interesting time with the storm clouds. And I guess it was raining because everybody's with the umbrella. I wonder if they were in a specific group that they have almost the same kind of umbrellas, just different colors. Everything is sharp. It's an interesting picture, 9.
Tough day.
As I said, I love dogs, but I'm not going to judge based on the subject, but based on the photograph. So you did actually a pretty interesting, a little unique. I know my dog, when I leave the house, doesn't matter how long, and doesn't matter if my wife is at home, she'll lie on the rug next to the door to the garage and wait for me until I come home. It's all about me. She's always next to me. But I like the expression here. Probably could have got, I guess you didn't want to go any lower so we don't see more inside the room, which would be distracting. 8.
Tourists in a bubble.
Okay. Again, one of those very common scenes. Everybody who goes to Chicago takes these pictures in different places, different spots. 7.
Tree trunks.
Okay, you gave it an old look. I don't know if it's done intentionally, but what we see is a lot of gray and pretty cold tones. I'm just not sure where my main area of interest is, because half the frame is almost half, a little bit, is what's here that is really harsh light and shadows, so we can't make out anything. So to me, it's really the interest in the picture goes be above the line that I drew, some of the driftwood on shore and then some in the water, and maybe not so much sky. And again, whatever is on the left of this line, I find it distracting. 7.
Tulip display.
Okay, I shoot tulips a lot, and because I find them interesting, and I always try to figure out what can I do that is a little different, that creates more impact, not, okay, here's a pretty flower. And I think here you're really focused on not here's a pretty tulip, but here are some interesting shapes and textures and colors. 9.
Valley view.
Nice framing of the scene with the tree in the foreground, and here I like the variety of shades. Again, the scene is relatively busy and everything is sharp, so things are blending. But I think by having the dark trunks here and branches, framing the very bright but not overexposed area below it, you created that contrast, and then you have mid-level gray, you have the background. 8.
Window guards.
Okay, interesting play with depth of field and a repeated pattern. I wish the subject was a little bit, I shouldn't say the subject, but the shapes are not that strong in terms of interest. So, and you have the cars on the left that I find kind of where you have more variation in tones that kind of takes interest. 7.
Work in progress.
nice storytelling picture. You handled it pretty well. I'm trying to think if there was any no, you wanted to get the painting and you wanted to get the lighthouse without the fence being the railings to be in the way. 8.
Zigzag.
Nicely done. You created your abstract with the architecture. You handled it pretty well. 9.
Zinnia and Joy.
Okay. So I'm looking at that. I'm trying to figure out. You centered it, and really the only thing that breaks the symmetry is that the stem is at the diagonal. I wish some of the bright spots were a little bit darker so they didn't take so much attention, because I like what's happening in the background. And 8.
And that's it.
Okay.
So which are the nuns?
I'd still count 16.
All right, let me count again. Maybe I.
Okay, so you want me to go through them all slowly?
Go through yeah, please go through them. So I take a view and then we'll do in and out maybe.
Okay. Oops. Tough, huh?
Okay, so. Let's do in and out, and it may take more than one pass.
Okay.
In. Well, is it difficult for you to do it this way? Do you want me to?
I don't know. We'll find out in a second.
You know
I think-
what? So hold on. I'll take some notes myself, and you'll just keep them, and then.
Okay, I'll try to delete, and I think that might work. I think when I deleted all of them, it decided just to close the whole thing. All right, so is this staying or going?
Staying,
Okay,
going.
that didn't delete. Okay, file. Close. Okay, that worked.
Okay. Keep this one in. In. Out.
Oops.
Out. Out. In. In. Okay, let's give it in for now. In. Oh, I'm not making it any easier. In. So where do we stand now?
Yeah.
No, this one is out. And this one is out. Is this the last one?
No, I think there's one more after this.
Okay, so keep this one in, and the next one will be out. More of a standard thing.
Okay,
Oh,
so now
yeah, we're not.
you want me to go through them again?
Yes, please. Okay, I know which three I want to keep in.
Okay,
So
so
do you want me to tell you which one's in or which one's out?
let's pray that this works. Okay, tell me what's in.
The three independent.
Um,
I mean, I can tell you which ones.
well, I just botched that up. Okay.
And you're
Well,
sharing.
tell me the name of the three.
Okay, let me see them again.
Okay, you want to see
Yeah.
them?
You can memorize.
Well,
all
I've sort of lost the
Down.
edited version. So I'm gonna have to load them all up again.
Okay, I'll be able to tell.
This is not the ideal,
Okay, I know which three.
you know which three?
Yeah.
Give me a
Independent,
second.
it's the
You-
long
Do
tree.
you see anything now?
I don't see anything now, but I can
Not
tell you.
sharing.
Yeah, I know, I have to reshare. Okay, so
Go down.
give me the title.
I don't remember the title,
I
so
think
just
one of them was independent.
independent, yeah. Here it is.
Yeah,
This is one, so this is one of them. The next one. Okay, you know what? This one is third place.
Wait 1 second, let me try this. Okay, all right, so that's independent. What's the next one?
So this one is third place.
Okay,
Second place is the monkey.
mountain. What was the name of the mountain? The
Mon-
monkey?
Monkey,
The monkey,
A second place is the monkey?
yes. And third place is the legs and the cat.
looking up,
Looking up.
that's first place. Okay. Okay, the results in the independent, in the advanced group, third place is independent Dan Sudberg, Stonebridge. You have to excuse me, I'm a little dry. Second place is Monkey, Phil Levy, Regency, and first place is Looking Up, Waicito, Manalapan. So congratulations, and I have the club results. In first place is Matita Conk with an average score of 8.2. Second place is Stonebridge with an average score of 7.765. Third place is Manalapan with an average score of 7.688. Fourth place is River Point with an average score of 7.619. And fifth place is Regency with an average score of 7.5. So, thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Thank
And,
you, Eric.
Any questions?
Yes, who was going to furnish the YouTube link for the recording?
I will, Mark from Stonebridge.
Okay, so you'll get it out to everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Eric.
yeah, and I will send each club point of contact their list of entries and the scores and places for their each club. All right.
Well, thanks,
So-
Liz. Thanks, Martin. Thanks, Eric. Congratulations to all the winners. Great job.
Yeah.
Till next
When I
year.
get when I